So today we have the OCG Forbidden Unlimited list for July 1st, so let's take a look at it and let's talk about them. Now, I've already seen the full list and we're just going to go through card by card and just talk about the decisions that were made. So for the Forbidden cards, we have the total of 4, being Geonated Transverser, Nichirio Rosewhip, Call by the Grave, and Heartbeat Featherstorm. Now let's get the first two out of the way, being Nichirio Rosewhip and also Heartbeat Featherstorm, because the TCG already has them banned and we banned them pretty much before them. Now, of course, making your opponent not play is absolutely a thing that they've been pivoting away from, so seeing both Rosewhip and also Featherstorm banned in the OCG as well is completely fine. Now let's talk about Geonated Transverser. This was being used in the Toon FTK for Shadow Toon, but I definitely think that this doesn't really matter because you also have, well, Mind Castlin, which the TCG released not too long ago. OCG got it in their World Premiere Pack 2025. So honestly, I think they're going to pivot to more of a synchro build. And with the brand new Angeliki archetype, that probably will be a card that will be looked at. And also, Call by the Grave going to 0 is very potent because it makes it where hand traps get to resolve more, which is absolutely fine. Instead of having floodgates in the game and lingering floodgates as well, it's better just to have interaction back and forth with hand traps. A lot of players really despise floodgates because it limits the options of what you have in the current game. And honestly, if you go up against a deck that just says, oh, I'm going to floodgate you, and also have a Call by the Grave to back it up, you're most likely not going to win that game. So overall, banning Call by the Grave might be the move going into the future because a lot of players have also wanted just to see it banned as well. There's some players that are fighting that putting it back to 3 will help fix stuff, but putting it back to 3 gives more power to going first decks to have more ways to say no to your hand traps, because I remember when it was at 3 back in 2018 and I think 2020, but realistically, this card being at 3 is definitely more of a threat than anything, because if you have 3 hand traps in your hand and they manage to draw all 3 cards with 2 starters, you are not playing that game anymore. So overall, Call by the Grave going to 0 in the OCG might be a telling sign in the future for the TCG. Now for the limited section, we have Cool Toon Rotary, Synchro Overtank, the Supreme King Dragon Starving Venom, and Solemn Judgment. So Cool Toon Rotary and Synchro Overtake are very understandable. Overtake is currently limited in the TCG, so they followed suit with that. Also with Solemn Judgment as well. But then we have Cool Toon Rotary going down to 1. Now this is completely fine because Rotary is a very powerful card, giving you an additional normal summon, and on top of that, it allows you to look at your opponent's hand, then search a card, which honestly shouldn't have never let you look at the opponent's hand. And then we also have Supreme King Dragon Starving Venom. So this is going to be a more interesting card to talk about because in the OCG, they had the Power Patron FTK, and overall, I definitely think that, it's very interesting to say the least. Now, in theory, it is completely fine that you can put it down to 1, but it doesn't solve the issue because you could still recycle it back to the extra deck with Medea's the Pure and just have another one to be summoned out using your Power Patron level 10 Dark monsters. So interestingly enough, I think the next list, they're gonna go after Power Patron itself to stop this FTK from happening. Now, this isn't the first time we had Pendulum FTK in the game, as back in 2018, 2018, we had that in the TCG, where we were just using Pendulum Magicians instead. The OCG was doing it, and it just died out over there because they limited, I think, just like 5 cards just to prevent it from happening. Overall, it's definitely a good hit, but it's better off being banned, in my honest opinion, or you could just ban the Lairless Independent Nightingale. So, honestly, it's fine where it is, but they have to be very cautious because it can still continue to FTK going in the future. Now, of course, Solemn Judgment, we've had it at 1 for some time now, and honestly, I think it might be on the chopping block to get forbidden in the future because of how powerful it is. We've seen it banned once, and we could see it banned again in the TCG. But there's something important in this ban list that kind of shocked all of us. We have two erratas to Elder Entity Norden and also Mind Master. Now these cards are going to 1 on the next Forbidden Unlimited list, and this is because they have received a brand new text. Now, Elder Entity Norden says this card's effect can only be used once per turn. When this card is special summoned from the extra deck, it could be activated by targeting a level 4 or lower monster in your graveyard. Special summon that monster with its effects negated, and the monster is banished when this card leaves the field. So not only they gave it a hard once per turn, they also made it where it has to be special summoned from the extra deck. So this is going to follow suit in the TCG later down the line, and this is going to be an amazing super polymerization target into the Angeliki archetype or any Synchro or Exceed theme going into the future. Now, decks like Ryziel can use this card because they can go activate Super Poly using a Duo Drive and Detonator that's all used up to summon this out, to summon out a level 4 from grave to overlay. But realistically, this is actually a good errata for the card, and I've been asking for this card to come back for quite some time. And now I wonder if they're going to try an errata as a thought. So after all this, 5 of the 6 entities are now legal in the OCG, following the TCG as well. And with Mind Master, you can only use the effect once per turn, which is absolutely fine. Just hard once per turn the card, and you can pay 800 life points to banish and activate. So it just banishes a psychic monster, or tributes a psychic monster, to special summon 1 level 4 lower psychic monster from your deck in attack position. So this errata is actually really useful because it solves an FTK, which is great to see. They pretty much solved an FTK with Mind Master, and they released one of the powerful and most broken fusion monsters off the Forbidden Limited list. These are fine for me because, honestly, we've been asking for a Mind Master errata forever, and now Norden's getting an errata too that becomes an extra deck utility. So you go Super Poly, discard a level 4 monster or whatever, a tuner or whatever, to summon it out, summon back whatever you discarded to synchro summon. Norden's going to be a really good utility piece going into the future. But let's get to the rest of the Forbidden Limited list. So the semi-limits are going to be very interesting to talk about. We have the Perfectron Hydrodrive Dragon. Now this is a card that a lot of players have been using in the OCG to burn for final damage or even FTK. This is a card that takes 1+ Link 5 monster, and honestly, it's just a real madhouse because you can just go summon, burn, summon another, burn, summon the third for burn in game. But there's also an FTK with Black Garden, so honestly, this card just being a card going to 2 kills off that, so they have to find other ways to get to those burn damage for the final ones. Then we also have Cool Tune Synchro going down to 2. Now this is actually very good semi-limit because you can only activate it twice per turn, and with it going down to 2 is actually really useful here. Now this is because you have to be very careful on how you use the second one and also your first one, because once you're out, you're pretty much out. And honestly, that's fine. The card should be at 2, and it's thematically correct because it's only 2 sides of the actual record player, or the record. But then we get Solemn Warning to 2 and Mathmech Circular to 2. So Mathmech Circular is going from 1 to 2, which is absolutely fine, I believe. Yeah, it's going from limited to semi-limited, and honestly, this card's completely fine to come off the Forbidden Limited list. Now that a lot of power creep has happened, and Mathmech isn't really a deck that players consider anymore. Sure, you have Ryziel, but honestly, yeah, it's not that good. And then we have Solemn Warning. Now, Solemn Warning happens to be the second to best Solemn right now in the whole entire game, because if you break the opponent's board and they have 1 card left, you normal summon and it gets hit by a Solemn Warning, it's really harsh. And honestly, I could see it going down to 1 in the future. This is definitely a card that has become better and better as time goes on, and honestly, it's crazy to think about. But outside of that, yeah, these semi-limits make a lot of sense. And then we have the unlimits. We have Sprite Blue, Tearlaments Reno Heart, Totally Awesome, and Trickstar Reincarnation. These are all cards that are completely fine to come off the Forbidden Limited list. Now that we had over 3 years to look at the whole entire, no, 4 years now to look at the whole entire format, and realistically, Sprite's been alright, Tears still kicking out in the Rogue, you have Totally Awesome returning to 3, and then you have Trickstar Reincarnation. This card was limited back in, I think it was like 2017, so it's almost been 9 years. So that's crazy to think about. And overall, this is a very interesting OCG list, and it's going to reflect our TCG list going in the future because we are going to get these two erratas in the future. I could see something like Juinator or Bish Balkan getting banned because they're saving face on a manga boss. This definitely going back to 1 maybe, but honestly, with Power Patron, this might be a little scary to bring back right now. And then we also have other cards like Mathematics Circular can return, Solemn might get hit for warning, and I could definitely see a Solemn Judgment ban in the future. But anyways, tell me what you think about this OCG ban list, because honestly, it's really crazy to look at, and I cannot wait to see what else is in the future.